The survey vessel Inquiring Mind drifted through the darkness between stars. Its captain, a Valorian named Thesic, stood at the observation window and watched the endless black void. He was young for a survey commander, only 40 cycles old, and he had spent most of those years dreaming of discovery. Now, after 3 years of finding nothing but dead rocks and empty space, he wondered if the universe had run out of secrets. "Commander," called his sensor operator from across the bridge. "I am detecting something unusual." Thesic turned away from the window. The sensor operator was an older Valorian named Pren, and his 4 eyes were wide with surprise. In all their years together, Thesic had never seen Pren look surprised. "What is it?" Thesic asked. "A planet, sir. Third orbit from a yellow star." "But that is not the unusual part." Pren's fingers moved across his console. "The planet shows signs of advanced habitation, cities, energy signatures, a population in the millions." Thesic felt his heart beat faster. An inhabited world was rare enough. An inhabited world with advanced technology was almost unheard of. Every species in the Galactic Compact had been catalogued centuries ago. There should be no unknown civilizations left to find. "Show me," he said. The main view screen flickered to life. Thesic saw a blue and green world, beautiful in the way that only living planets could be. Clouds swirled across its surface. Oceans sparkled in the light of its sun. And there on the largest continent, he could see the unmistakable pattern of artificial structures. "Have you identified the species?" Thesic asked. Pren hesitated. "Yes, sir. That is the unusual part. The energy signatures match human technology." The bridge went silent. Every officer stopped what they were doing and turned to look at the screen. Humans. The word hung in the air like a curse. Thesic had never met a human. Few Valorians had. 200 years ago, the humans had been members of the Galactic Compact, but they had left under circumstances that no one liked to discuss. Some said they were exiled for crimes against the Compact. Others said they left voluntarily, disgusted by the endless wars and political schemes of galactic civilization. Whatever the truth, the humans had vanished into the unexplored regions of space, and no one had seen them since, until now. "Are you certain?" Thesic asked. "The match is exact," Pren replied. "Human technology, human life signs. This is a human colony, Commander." Thesic stared at the screen. He thought about what this discovery would mean. The Compact had always wondered where the humans went. Many leaders believed they had died out, unable to survive without the protection of galactic civilization. Others feared they were still out there, building strength, waiting for revenge. "Take us into orbit," Thesic ordered. "I want to see this colony for myself." The Inquiring Mind moved closer to the planet. As they approached, more details became clear. The main city was large, perhaps 1 million inhabitants, built along the shore of a great ocean. Thesic could see towers and domes and wide green spaces. But something was wrong. Something was missing. "Pren," he said slowly, "where are the defenses?" The sensor operator ran his scans again. "I am not detecting any, sir." "That is impossible. Run the scans again." "I have run them 3 times, Commander. There are no defensive walls around the city, no military installations, no weapons platforms in orbit, no shield generators. Nothing." Thesic did not understand. Every colony in the Compact was built like a fortress. Defense was the first priority, always. A colony without defenses was like a body without skin. It was an invitation to destruction. "Perhaps they are hidden," he suggested. "Underground facilities, cloaked systems." "If so, they are beyond our ability to detect," Pren said. "But I do not believe they exist. Commander, this colony appears to be completely undefended." Thesic made his decision quickly. "Prepare a landing shuttle. I will lead an investigation team to the surface." His first officer, a cautious female named Vela, stepped forward. "Commander, is that wise? We know nothing about these humans. They may be hostile." "They have no defenses," Thesic replied. "What threat could they pose?" "The humans were removed from the Compact for a reason," Vela said. "Perhaps the reason was that they are dangerous." Thesic considered her words. She was right to be cautious. But he had not spent 3 years in the void to turn away from the greatest discovery of his career. "I will take that risk," he said. "Prepare the shuttle." The landing was smooth. Thesic brought 4 soldiers with him, armed with pulse rifles, though he doubted they would need them. The shuttle set down in an open field outside the main city, and Thesic stepped out onto human soil for the first time. The air was clean and sweet. The grass beneath his feet was soft. In the distance, he could see the towers of the city rising against a blue sky. It was beautiful, he admitted, more beautiful than most compact worlds. A group of humans was walking toward them. Thesic raised his hand, signaling his soldiers to be ready. But the humans showed no signs of aggression. They carried no weapons. They wore simple clothing in bright colors, and they were smiling. "Welcome," said the human at the front of the group. She was female, with gray hair and a lined face. Her eyes were kind. "We saw your ship arrive. My name is Catherine. I am one of the elders of New Providence." Thesic did not know how to respond. In his experience, first contact was always tense. Both sides would display their weapons. Threats would be exchanged. Negotiations would begin only after each side understood the other's strength. But these humans had no weapons to display. They had come to greet strangers with smiles and open hands. "I am Survey Commander Thesic of the Galactic Compact Vessel Inquiring Mind," he said formally. "We detected your colony and came to investigate." "The Galactic Compact," Catherine said. Her smile did not fade. "We remember the Compact. It has been a long time since we had visitors from that part of space. Please come into the city. You must be tired from your journey. We can offer you food and rest." Thesic glanced at his soldiers. They looked as confused as he felt. "You are not concerned by our presence?" he asked. "We are strangers. We arrived without warning. For all you know, we could be invaders." "Are you invaders?" Catherine asked. "No," Thesic said. "We are explorers." "Then you are welcome here," she said simply. "Come, let me show you our home." They walked into the city. Thesic kept his eyes moving, searching for hidden threats, but he found none. The streets were clean and wide. The buildings were elegant but simple. People walked and talked and laughed. Children played in open parks without supervision. No one seemed afraid. "Where are your police?" Thesic asked. "Your security forces?" "We have none," Catherine replied. "Your military?" "We have no military." "Your prisons?" "We have no prisons." Thesic stopped walking. "That is not possible. Every civilization requires force to maintain order. Without force, there is chaos." Catherine turned to face him. Her eyes were patient, like a teacher explaining something to a confused student. "We thought so too once," she said. "Long ago, humans believed that violence was necessary, that fear was the only way to keep people in line, that power came from weapons and walls and the ability to hurt others." She gestured at the city around them. "We learned that we were wrong." "How do you maintain order?" Thesic demanded. "How do you prevent crime? How do you stop people from taking what they want by force?" "We do not prevent anything," Catherine said. "We simply live in a way that makes such things unnecessary. When people have everything they need, they do not steal. When people feel valued and respected, they do not hurt others. When children are raised with love instead of fear, they grow into adults who do not need to be controlled." Thesic shook his head. "This is impossible. No society can function this way." "And yet," Catherine said gently, "here we are." She continued walking, and after a moment, Thesic followed. His mind was racing. He did not believe what she was telling him. It had to be a trick. The humans had to be hiding something. No civilization could survive without force. It went against everything he knew about the universe. But as he walked through New Providence, he could not find the lie. The people were genuinely happy. The city was genuinely peaceful. There were no hidden soldiers, no secret weapons, no fear lurking behind the smiles. That night, Thesic was given a comfortable room in a building near the center of the city. The humans had fed him well and treated him with kindness. They had asked nothing in return. He sat alone in his room and thought about what he had seen. Then he activated his private communicator and sent a message to the Compact. He told them about the human colony. He told them about the lack of defenses. He told them that New Providence was a world of great value, completely unprotected, waiting to be claimed. He told himself that he was doing his duty. The Compact needed to know about this place. The humans had left galactic civilization, and now they would be brought back, whether they wanted it or not. But as he sent the message, Thesic felt something strange. A small voice in the back of his mind whispered that he was making a terrible mistake. He ignored it and went to sleep. Far away in the heart of compact space, his message was received by the Council of Species. They read his report with great interest. A defenseless human colony, rich and unprotected. It was too good to be true. Within hours, a fleet was assembled. 30 warships, armed with the most powerful weapons in the galaxy. They set course for New Providence. The humans had no idea they were coming. Thesic extended his stay on New Providence. He told himself it was for intelligence gathering. The compact fleet would need detailed information about the colony before they arrived. He needed to map the city, count the population, identify the leaders. He needed to find the hidden defenses that he was certain existed somewhere. But as the days passed, Thesic began to wonder if he was lying to himself. The humans gave him complete freedom to explore. They answered every question he asked. They showed him their power plants and their water systems and their food production facilities. They held nothing back. It was as if the concept of secrecy did not exist for them. On his third day in the colony, Thesic witnessed something that disturbed him deeply. He was walking through a market square when he heard raised voices. Two men were arguing about something. Their faces were red with anger, and their hands were clenched into fists. Thesic reached for the weapon at his belt. In any compact city, such a confrontation would end in violence. Someone would attack. Someone would be hurt. Security forces would arrive to separate them and punish the aggressor. But none of that happened. Instead, an elderly woman approached the two men. She said something that Thesic could not hear. The men turned to look at her. Their anger faded. They began to talk instead of shout. Within minutes, they were shaking hands. The argument was over. Thesic approached the woman afterward. "What did you say to them?" he asked. She smiled. "I reminded them that they were friends, that whatever they were fighting about was not worth losing their friendship, that they would regret their anger tomorrow." "And that was enough?" "It is always enough," she said. "Anger is temporary. Connection is permanent. People forget this sometimes. They just need to be reminded." Thesic did not know what to say. In the compact, disputes were settled by force or by law. The stronger party won, the weaker party submitted. There was no room for gentle reminders or friendly conversations. Power was the only language that mattered. He walked away from the market square with his mind spinning. That afternoon, he visited the colony's medical center. He expected to find a basic facility with limited equipment. Frontier colonies rarely had advanced medical technology. But what he found shocked him. The medical center was a marvel. The equipment was more advanced than anything he had seen in compact hospitals. Doctors and nurses moved through bright, clean corridors, treating patients with machines that could heal wounds in minutes and cure diseases that would be fatal anywhere else. "How is this possible?" Thesic asked the doctor who was showing him around. "This technology is beyond anything the compact has developed." The doctor, a young man with a calm demeanor, nodded. "We have had 200 years to focus on what matters. While the compact was building warships, we were building hospitals. While you were developing weapons, we were curing diseases. But you could weaponize this technology," Thesic said. "Your medical knowledge could be used to create biological weapons. Your energy systems could power devastating weapons platforms. Why have you not done this?" The doctor looked at him with confusion. "Why would we? We left the compact to escape from war. Why would we bring it with us?" "To defend yourselves," Thesic said. "To protect your people. To ensure your survival." "We protect our people by making their lives worth living," the doctor replied. "We ensure our survival by building a society that no one would want to destroy. What better defense is there than that?" Thesic had no answer. In the evening, he went to see Elder Catherine. She received him in her home, a modest building with a garden full of flowers. She offered him tea and asked about his day. "I do not understand your people," Thesic admitted. "Everything I see here contradicts everything I know about civilization. Societies need force to function. They need hierarchy and control and punishment. Without these things, chaos is inevitable." Catherine sipped her tea. "You believe this because it is what you were taught. It is what everyone in the compact believes. But have you ever asked yourself if it is true?" "It must be true," Thesic said. "History proves it. Every civilization that abandoned force was conquered by those who did not. And yet we have not been conquered. You have been hidden, Thisik countered. Isolated. No one knew you were here. But now that you have been found, you will be conquered. The compact will come, and you will have no way to resist them. Catherine set down her teacup. Her eyes were steady and unafraid. Perhaps, but even if that happens, we will not change who we are. We will not pick up weapons. We will not build walls. We will not become the thing we escaped from. Then you will die. Everyone dies, Commander. The question is how you live before that moment comes. She leaned forward. Let me ask you something. In all your years of serving the compact, have you been happy? Tessic opened his mouth to answer, but the words would not come. Happy. It was not a word that Valorians used often. Duty, honor, strength, power. These were the words that defined his culture. Happiness was considered weak, soft, unimportant. I have been successful, he finally said. I have earned rank and respect. I have served my people well. That is not what I asked. Tessic looked away. He thought about his life, the endless training, the competition with his peers, the constant struggle for advancement, the fear of failure, the loneliness of command. He had achieved everything he was supposed to achieve. He had done everything right. And yet in this moment, sitting in a simple house on a forgotten world, he could not say that he was happy. We were like you once, Catherine said gently. Humans, I mean. Long ago we built our civilizations on the same foundations. Force, fear, competition. We told ourselves it was necessary, that it was natural, that there was no other way. What changed? We almost destroyed ourselves. Catherine's voice grew soft with old sorrow. 200 years ago, humanity was on the edge of extinction. Our weapons had grown too powerful. Our hatred had grown too deep. We were months away from a war that would have killed billions. What stopped it? A choice. A few leaders in a few countries decided to try something different. They put down their weapons, they opened their borders, they shared their resources. Everyone said they were fools. Everyone said they would be conquered by their enemies. She smiled. But their enemies saw what they were doing. Some of them laughed, some of them attacked, but some of them asked, what if this could work? And it worked. It took generations. There were setbacks. There were failures. Many people died believing they had wasted their lives on an impossible dream. Catherine's eyes gleamed with something that looked like pride. But eventually enough people believed. Enough people tried. And the dream became real. Then why did you leave the compact? Because the compact was not ready. The other species want us to be what we used to be. Warriors, conquerors. They could not understand what we had become. So we left. We found this world. We built something new. Tessic sat in silence for a long moment. Everything she said was impossible. Everything she described went against the fundamental laws of civilization. And yet, the evidence was all around him. New Providence existed. Its people were healthy and happy. Their society functioned without force. I have sent a message to the compact, he said quietly. A fleet is coming. They intend to take this world by force. He expected Catherine to react with fear or anger. He expected her to call for defenses, to organize resistance, to do something. But she only nodded. I know, she said. You know, we detected your transmission the night you sent it. We have been monitoring compact communications ever since. We know the fleet is coming. We know their intentions. And you are doing nothing? We are doing what we always do. Living, working, loving each other, preparing to welcome our visitors, whoever they may be. Tessic stood up. His hands were trembling. You cannot welcome warships with tea and flowers. They will destroy you. They will kill your people and take your world, and everything you have built will be gone. Catherine rose as well. She placed a gentle hand on his arm. Commander, she said, we have faced this situation before. Pirates have found us. Raiders have found us. Species fleeing from compact justice have found us. They all came expecting easy prey. They all came with weapons in their hands and greed in their hearts. And what happened? They left. All of them. Some left after a few days. Some stayed for months. But in the end, they all left peacefully, taking nothing that we did not freely give. How is that possible? Catherine smiled. Stay and watch. You will understand soon enough. That night, Thesic lay in his bed and stared at the ceiling. He could not sleep. His mind kept returning to the same questions. How could a society without force survive? How could people live without fear? How could the humans face an invasion fleet with nothing but kindness? He did not have answers, but for the first time in his life, he wanted to find them. 2 days later, the compact fleet arrived. 30 warships appeared in orbit around New Providence, their weapons charged, their soldiers ready. Admiral Korvax, the commander of the fleet, sent a message to the surface. This world is now under the jurisdiction of the Galactic Compact. You will surrender immediately. Resistance will be met with overwhelming force. Thesic watched the message arrive. He watched the humans receive it with calm faces and steady hands. He watched Elder Catherine compose a reply. You are welcome here, she said. Please come down and join us. We have much to show you. Admiral Korvax's response was to send 10,000 soldiers to the surface. The invasion of New Providence had begun. Admiral Korvax watched the landing craft descend toward New Providence. 10,000 soldiers armed with the best weapons the compact could provide. Vehicles, artillery, and air support. It was enough firepower to conquer most worlds in a matter of hours. He expected resistance. He hoped for it, in fact. Korvax was a warrior. He had spent his entire life fighting the enemies of the compact. A glorious battle against the mysterious humans would be a fitting addition to his legacy. But as the first reports came in from the surface, his hope turned to confusion. Admiral, said his communications officer, the ground teams are reporting no resistance. None at all? No, sir. The humans are not fighting. They are not running. They are... The officer paused as if unsure how to continue. They are welcoming our soldiers, sir. Korvax stared at the screen. Explain. The humans are approaching our soldiers with food and drinks. They are offering places to rest. They are asking if anyone needs medical attention. The officer swallowed. Sir, they are treating our invasion force like guests. Korvax did not know how to respond. In all his years of warfare, he had never encountered anything like this. Enemies fought or fled. That was the way of things. They did not offer refreshments. It must be a trick, he said. Tell the ground commanders to remain alert. The humans are trying to lower our guard before an ambush. Yes, Admiral. But the ambush never came. On the surface, Commander Vrel led his company through the streets of New Providence. His soldiers moved in standard formation, weapons ready, eyes scanning for threats. But there were no threats to be found. Only humans. They lined the streets, watching the soldiers with curious eyes. Some waved. Children pointed and whispered to each other. No one screamed or ran or tried to attack. It was as if the invasion was a parade rather than a conquest. What is wrong with these people? Muttered one of Vrel's soldiers. Do they not understand what is happening? They understand, said another soldier. They simply do not care. Vrel raised his hand, signaling his company to stop. An old human woman was walking toward them, carrying a tray of cups filled with some kind of liquid. You must be thirsty, she said, smiling at the soldiers. It is a long walk from the landing zone. Please have something to drink. Vrel stared at her. His training told him to be suspicious. This could be poison. This could be a distraction. But the woman's eyes were kind, and her hands were steady. And there was nothing in her manner that suggested deception. We are not here for refreshments, he said. We are here to secure this colony in the name of the Galactic Compact. Yes, I know, the woman said, but you can still have a drink, can you not? Conquest is thirsty work. One of the soldiers laughed. It was a nervous laugh, uncertain, but it was still laughter. Vrel glared at him, but the damage was done. The tension in the formation had broken. We will continue to the government center, Vrel said stiffly. Stand aside. The woman nodded and stepped out of the way. But as the soldiers marched past, several of them grabbed cups from her tray. They drank quickly as if ashamed and returned the cups before rejoining the formation. The march continued. At the government center, Thesic watched the compact soldiers arrive. He stood beside Elder Catherine, who had refused to hide or flee. She had insisted on greeting the invaders personally. Elder Catherine, said the officer leading the soldiers. He was tall and armored and carried a weapon that could level buildings. By order of Admiral Korvax of the Galactic Compact, you are under arrest. You will come with us to the orbiting flagship for questioning. Of course, Catherine said. I am happy to speak with your admiral. But first, would your soldiers like something to eat? The journey from orbit is long, and I am sure they are hungry. The officer blinked. This is not a social visit. You are being arrested. I understand, but there is no reason we cannot be civilized about it. Catherine gestured to a group of humans who stood nearby. They carried trays of bread and fruit. Please, help yourselves. The soldiers looked at each other. They looked at their commander. They looked at the food. No one moved. This is absurd, the officer said. You are prisoners of the compact. You do not give orders here. I am not giving orders, Catherine replied. I am offering hospitality. There is a difference. Thesic watched the exchange with growing unease. He had seen enough of human society to know that Catherine was not acting. This was simply how the humans behaved. They could not help it. Kindness was built into them at a level so deep that even an invasion could not shake it loose. The officer grabbed Catherine's arm. Enough! You are coming with me. Very well. Catherine did not resist. She allowed herself to be led away. But she turned back to look at the soldiers one last time. The offer remains open. Whenever you are hungry, just ask. Someone will be happy to help. She was taken to a shuttle and transported to the flagship in orbit. Thesic followed, unable to stay away. He needed to see what would happen next. He needed to understand. On the flagship, Admiral Korvax waited in his command center. He was a large Valorian, older than Thesic, with scars on his face from decades of battle. His eyes were hard and cold. He had conquered 12 worlds in his career. He had never lost a campaign. When Catherine was brought before him, he studied her with the same attention he would give an enemy general. You are the leader of this colony? He asked. I am one of many leaders, Catherine said. We do not have a single ruler here. Then you will speak for your people. I will try. Korvax leaned forward. I want to know where your defenses are. We have scanned your entire planet and found nothing. No weapons, no military, no fortifications. I do not believe this is possible. You are hiding something. We are hiding nothing, Catherine said. What you see is what we are. No civilization can survive without force. It is against nature. Nature does not require force, only cooperation. Catherine's voice was calm. Look at the forests on your own world. The trees do not fight each other. They share nutrients through their roots. They grow together, support each other, create something greater than any single tree could achieve alone. Trees are not people. No, but people can learn from trees. Catherine smiled. We have learned. That is the only secret we have. Korvax slammed his fist on the table. I am not here for philosophy lessons. I am here to bring this world under compact control. You will cooperate, or you will suffer the consequences. What consequences? I will destroy your cities. I will kill your people. I will burn this world to ash and leave nothing but ruins. Catherine was silent for a moment. Then she asked a question that Korvax did not expect. Why? Why what? Why would you do that? What would you gain? Korvax opened his mouth to answer, but no words came out. He had threatened destruction 100 times in his career. Enemies always responded with fear or defiance. They never asked why. Because you refuse to submit, he finally said, because you defy the compact. We have not defied anything. We welcomed your soldiers. We offered them food and rest. We have not raised a hand against anyone. Catherine's eyes were steady. You speak of destruction as if it is inevitable, but it is not. It is a choice. You can choose not to destroy. If I do not, others will. The compact does not tolerate independence. If I do not conquer you, another admiral will. Perhaps, but that would be their choice, not yours. Catherine leaned forward slightly. Admiral, I have a question for you. What are you afraid of? The question hung in the air. Korvax stared at the old human woman, this frail creature who should have been trembling before his power, and felt something he had not felt in decades. Uncertainty. I am not afraid of anything, he said. Everyone is afraid of something, Catherine replied. I have found that most violence comes from fear. People hurt others because they are afraid of being hurt themselves. Nations conquer because they fear being conquered. Empires destroy because they fear being destroyed. She paused. What do you fear, Admiral? What drives you to threaten an entire world? Korvax did not answer. He could not answer. The question had reached inside him and touched something that he had buried long ago. He stood up abruptly. Take her to the detention center. I will question her again tomorrow. Catherine was led away. Tessic watched her go, then turned to the Admiral. Sir, he said quietly, I have spent time in the colony. The humans are not lying. They truly have no defenses. They truly live without force. That is impossible. I thought so too. But I have seen it with my own eyes. Tessic hesitated. Admiral, I believe we are making a mistake. Korvax turned to him with cold fury in his eyes. You were sent to gather intelligence, Commander, not to offer opinions. Return to your duties and speak of this to no one. Tessic saluted and left the command center. But as he walked through the corridors of the flagship, he could not shake the feeling that something terrible was about to happen, and he was not sure anymore which side would be destroyed. On the surface below, the occupation continued. Soldiers patrolled the streets. Checkpoints were established. Curfews were announced. But the humans did not resist. They did not complain. They simply went about their lives, smiling at the soldiers, offering them help, treating them like guests rather than conquerors. And slowly, without anyone noticing, something began to change. The occupation of New Providence was 1 week old when the first soldier refused an order. His name was Torek, a young Valorian who had joined the military to escape poverty on his homeworld. He had been assigned to patrol the eastern district of the main city, enforcing the curfew that Admiral Korvax had declared. On that night, Torek found an elderly human man walking through the streets after dark. You are violating curfew, Torek said, raising his weapon. Return to your home immediately or face arrest. The old man smiled at him. I apologize, young one. I was visiting my daughter. She just had a baby, you see. A little girl. I lost track of time. That is not my concern. The curfew is the curfew. You are right, of course. The old man did not seem afraid. Will you walk with me? My home is only a few streets away. We can talk along the way. Torek should have refused. Protocol demanded that he arrest the man and process him at the detention center. But something about the old human's gentle manner made him hesitate. Fine, he said, but be quick about it. They walked together through the quiet streets. The old man talked about his new granddaughter, about the joy on his daughter's face, about the hopes he had for the child's future. Torek listened in silence, but he felt something stirring inside him. Do you have family? The old man asked. I have a mother, Torek said. I have not seen her in 3 years. You must miss her. Torek did not reply. Valorian soldiers were not supposed to miss their families. They were supposed to be focused on duty, on honor, on service to the compact. Personal attachments were weaknesses, but yes, he missed his mother. Why did you join the military? The old man asked. To serve my people. Is that the only reason? Torek was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, No, I joined because I was poor, because my family had nothing, because the military was the only way to give my mother a better life. And has it? I send her money every month. She no longer has to work in the factories. She has a small house with a garden. Torek paused. But I wonder sometimes if she would rather have me home than have the money. The old man nodded. I think she would. Money cannot replace a child. Houses cannot replace love. They reached the old man's home. It was a simple building with lights glowing in the windows. Thank you for walking with me, the old man said. Would you like to come inside, meet my granddaughter? Torek knew he should say no. He had duties to perform. But before he could stop himself, he nodded. He stayed for an hour. He held the baby, a tiny pink creature with wide eyes who stared at him with curious wonder. He drank tea with the family. He listened to their stories and, eventually, he shared his own. When he finally left, the old man walked him to the door. You are a good person, the old man said. I can see it in you. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise. Torek returned to his patrol, but when he found another human violating curfew, he did not arrest them. He let them go with a warning. The next day, he did the same. And the day after that, he was not the only one. All across the city, compact soldiers were experiencing similar changes. They ate meals with human families. They played games with human children. They listened to human music and read human books and talked with humans late into the night. The occupation was supposed to be a demonstration of compact power. Instead, it was becoming something else entirely. On the flagship, Admiral Korvax received reports from his commanders. The reports troubled him. "Morale is collapsing," said General Vreth, his second-in-command. "Soldiers are refusing orders. Discipline is breaking down. Some units have abandoned their posts entirely." "How is this possible?" Korvax demanded. "We have 10,000 soldiers on the surface. They are trained warriors. They should be immune to enemy influence. The humans are not using influence, Admiral. They are simply being kind." Vreth's voice was uncertain. "Our soldiers have never experienced anything like this. They do not know how to resist it. Kindness is not a weapon. With respect, sir, I am beginning to think it is. Or perhaps something even more powerful." Vreth hesitated. "Admiral, I have spoken with some of the affected soldiers. They say that being on New Providence makes them question everything they have been taught. They say the human way of life makes our way seem empty." Korvax dismissed Vreth and sat alone in his command center. He thought about what his general had said. Empty. Was that what the compact had become? An empty shell of power and fear, conquering worlds without purpose, fighting wars without end? No, he refused to believe it. The compact was strong. The compact was right. The humans were the ones who were wrong. Their society was an aberration, a freak of nature that could not possibly survive in the real universe. But if that was true, why was his occupation force falling apart? He called for Catherine to be brought to him again. The old human woman entered his command center with the same calm she had displayed before. She had been in detention for a week, but she showed no signs of suffering. If anything, she looked better than before. "You have done something to my soldiers," Korvax accused her. "We have done nothing except treat them as we treat everyone, with respect and kindness. Your kindness is destroying my fleet." "No, Admiral, your fleet is destroying itself, or rather, it is beginning to heal." Catherine sat down without being invited. "Your soldiers came here as conquerors, but they are not evil people. They are simply people who have been taught to believe that violence is necessary, that fear is natural, that power is the only thing that matters. Now they are learning that none of those things are true. You are brainwashing them. We are doing the opposite. Brainwashing makes people believe lies. We are helping them see the truth." Korvax stood up and paced the room. His hands were shaking. He had commanded fleets. He had won battles against impossible odds. He had stared death in the face without flinching. But this old woman, with her gentle words and steady eyes, terrified him more than any enemy he had ever faced. "What is the truth, then?" he demanded. "Tell me what your people have discovered that the entire galaxy has missed." Catherine was silent for a moment. Then she said, 200 years ago, humanity was dying. We had weapons that could destroy planets. We had hatred that ran so deep it poisoned everything we touched. We were on the edge of a war that would have ended our species forever. What stopped it? A few people asked a simple question. What if we stopped? What if we put down our weapons? What if we chose trust instead of fear? And everyone just agreed? No. Most people thought it was suicide. But enough people tried, enough people believed. And slowly, over generations, things began to change. Catherine leaned forward. "We discovered something remarkable, Admiral. Violence is not natural. Fear is not inevitable. They are learned behaviors, passed down from parent to child, reinforced by culture and custom. They can be unlearned." Impossible. I thought so too once. But watch your soldiers. They have been with us for only a week, and already they are changing. They are remembering what they were before the compact taught them to be weapons. Catherine's voice was soft but certain. Everyone has a peaceful self buried inside them. We simply help people find it. Korvax stopped pacing. He turned to face her. "If I order my fleet to bombard this world, what will you do?" "Nothing." "You will not fight back?" "No." You will simply die? If that is what must happen, yes. Catherine met his eyes. But I do not think you will give that order, Admiral. You underestimate me. No, I understand you perfectly. You are afraid. You have been afraid your entire life. Afraid of weakness, afraid of failure, afraid of being seen as less than what you are supposed to be. She paused. But fear is exhausting, is it not? Does it not wear you down year after year, battle after battle? Do you not sometimes wish you could simply stop? Korvac said nothing. His throat had closed up. His eyes were burning. You can stop, Catherine said gently. You can choose differently. That is all any of us can do. The Admiral turned away. He stood with his back to her, staring at the view screen that showed the peaceful blue world below. Leave me, he said. His voice was hoarse. I need to think. Catherine was escorted back to her cell, but as she left, she looked at the guards who held her arms. They were young Valorians, barely adults. Their eyes were confused and uncertain. It is going to be all right, she told them. Everything is going to be all right. They did not respond. But she saw something shift in their faces, a tiny crack in the armor they had been taught to wear. It was enough. That night, Admiral Korvac sat alone in his quarters. He thought about his life. He thought about all the battles he had fought, all the enemies he had killed, all the worlds he had conquered. He thought about the medals on his chest and the scars on his body and the emptiness that had grown inside him over the decades. He thought about his father, a soldier like himself, who had died in a war that no one remembered. He thought about his mother, who had wept at the funeral and then hardened herself into stone, teaching her son that tears were weakness. He thought about the human woman and her impossible questions. What are you afraid of? He was afraid of everything. He had been afraid his entire life. And all his conquests, all his victories, had done nothing to make the fear go away. For the first time in his long career, Admiral Korvac wondered if there was another way. On the 10th day of the occupation, Admiral Korvac made a decision. He called his senior officers to the command center. They stood before him in their uniforms, their faces hard and disciplined, but he could see the uncertainty in their eyes. They had all heard the reports from the surface. They had all seen the changes in their soldiers. Gentlemen, Korvac said, I have decided to end this occupation. The room erupted in shock. General Vreth stepped forward. Admiral, we cannot withdraw. The Compact Council expects us to bring this world under control. If we leave now, we will be seen as failures. We will be court-martialed. I am aware of the consequences. Then why? Why abandon a mission we have already won? The humans have no defenses. We could crush them in a day. Korvac looked at his officers. These were men he had served with for decades. They had followed him into battle without question. They had trusted him with their lives. Now he was about to ask them to trust him with something far more difficult. We could crush them, he agreed. But then what? We would rule a world of corpses and ashes. We would gain nothing except another dead planet to add to our empire. He paused. I have conquered 12 worlds in my career. I have never asked myself what those conquests achieved. I am asking now, and I do not like the answer. Admiral, this is not like you. Has the human woman poisoned your mind? She has done nothing except ask questions. Questions I should have asked myself long ago. Korvac took a deep breath. I will not destroy New Providence. I will not force these people to become what we are. If the Council wants them conquered, they can send another fleet, but I will have no part in it. The officers exchanged glances. Some looked angry, some looked confused, but a few, Korvac noticed, looked relieved. What are your orders, sir? Vreth asked finally. Recall all troops from the surface. Release the prisoners. Prepare the fleet for departure. Korvac hesitated. And inform the crew that any soldier who wishes to remain on New Providence may do so. They will not be punished. They will not be pursued. Sir, that is desertion. No, it is a choice. Perhaps the first real choice many of them have ever been allowed to make. The orders went out. Shuttles descended to the surface. Soldiers were recalled from their posts. Prisoners were released from detention centers, and the machinery of occupation began to shut down. But the reaction was not what anyone expected. Over 3,000 soldiers refused to return. They gathered in the central square of New Providence, standing alongside the humans they had come to conquer. They removed their armor and set aside their weapons. Some of them were crying, others were laughing. All of them looked like people waking from a long sleep. Thesic watched from the edge of the crowd. He had spent the past 10 days struggling with his conscience, caught between his duty to the compact and the strange new feelings that life on New Providence had awakened in him. Now, watching the soldiers embrace their former enemies, he finally understood what had happened. The humans had not fought back. They had done something far more powerful. They had shown the compact soldiers another way to live, and that vision had been more devastating than any weapon. Catherine found him standing alone. She walked over and stood beside him, watching the scene in the square. "Will you stay?" she asked. Thesic considered the question. He thought about his career, his ambitions, his place in compact society. He thought about everything he had believed and everything he had learned. "No," he said, "not yet. There is something I must do first." "What is that?" "I must return to the compact. I must tell them what I have seen." He turned to face her. "Your people have discovered something remarkable, something that could change the entire galaxy, but it will not spread on its own. Someone must carry the message." Catherine smiled. "That is a dangerous mission. The compact does not like to hear uncomfortable truths." "I know, but someone must try." Thesic paused. "How did you do it? How did you convince your own people to change?" "We did not convince anyone. We simply lived differently and let others see the results." Catherine placed a gentle hand on his arm. "You cannot force people to be peaceful, Commander. You can only show them that peace is possible. The rest is up to them." Thesic nodded slowly. He understood now. The transformation of New Providence had not happened through arguments or lectures. It had happened through example, through demonstration, through the simple act of living in accordance with a different set of values. He would have to do the same, not by fighting the compact, but by showing them what they could become. "I will return," he said, "someday, when I have done what I can." "We will be here," Catherine replied. "We will always be here." Above them, the compact fleet prepared to depart. Admiral Korvax stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching New Providence shrink in the view screen. He felt strange. The weight that had pressed down on him for decades seemed lighter somehow. His communications officer approached. "Admiral, we have an incoming message from the Compact Council. They are demanding an explanation for our withdrawal." Korvax nodded. "I will speak with them." The council appeared on the view screen. 6 representatives of the major compact species, their faces hard with displeasure. "Admiral Korvax," said the council chairman, an elderly Valorian named Thesis, "you were ordered to bring New Providence under compact control. Instead, you have withdrawn your forces and allowed thousands of soldiers to desert. Explain yourself." Korvax straightened his shoulders. "The humans of New Providence cannot be conquered by force. Their society is built on principles that we do not understand. Any attempt to dominate them by violence would fail." "This is absurd. They have no weapons, no military, no defenses. A single warship could destroy their entire civilization." "Yes, we could destroy them, but we could never conquer them. There is a difference." Korvax paused. "They have discovered something, counselors, a way of living that makes our way seem primitive by comparison. If we destroy them, we lose the chance to learn what they know. What do they know that we do not? How to live without fear." Korvax let the words hang in the air. How to build a society that does not require force to function. How to raise children who do not grow up to be soldiers. He looked at each of the council members in turn. "When was the last time any of you felt truly at peace? When was the last time you went a single day without worrying about enemies, about threats, about the endless struggle for power?" The council members shifted uncomfortably. None of them answered. "I am returning to compact space," Korvax continued. "I will accept whatever punishment you deem appropriate. But I ask you to consider what I have said. The humans have found something valuable, something we need. If we destroy them, we destroy our best chance of becoming something better than what we are." The transmission ended. Korvax turned away from the view screen. "Admiral," said General Vreth, "what do you think they will do?" "I do not know. Perhaps they will execute me. Perhaps they will ignore my words and send another fleet. Perhaps they will listen. Korvax shrugged. It does not matter. I have done what I could. The rest is up to them. The fleet jumped into hyperspace, leaving New Providence behind. On the surface, life continued as it always had. The humans went about their days, working and laughing and loving each other. The 3,000 compact soldiers who had chosen to stay began the long process of learning how to live without fear. Some of them struggled. The habits of a lifetime were not easily broken, but the humans were patient. They had waited 200 years for the galaxy to find them. They could wait a little longer. Thesic sent his first report to the compact 3 months later. It was a detailed account of everything he had seen on New Providence, written not as intelligence but as an invitation. He sent it to everyone he knew, from admirals to bureaucrats to ordinary citizens. Most people dismissed it as fantasy. Some called him a traitor, but a few read his words and felt something stir inside them. A few began to ask the same questions that Catherine had asked Admiral Korvax. What are you afraid of? What would happen if you stopped fighting? What could you become if you chose differently? Years passed. The compact did not send another fleet to New Providence. No one knew exactly why. Some said the council had decided the humans were not worth the trouble. Others said they were afraid of what their soldiers might become if exposed to human society. Thesic returned to New Providence eventually. He was older now, his face lined with years of struggle. He had spent decades spreading the message of human society throughout the compact, winning some converts and making many enemies. He was tired. Catherine was waiting for him at the spaceport. She was very old now, her hair white as snow, but her eyes were still kind. Welcome home, she said. Thesic looked around at the city, at the peaceful streets and the happy people, and the children playing without fear. He thought about all the worlds he had visited, all the battles he had witnessed, all the suffering he had seen. And he thought about this place, this impossible place, where people had learned to live without violence. How did you do it? He asked, the same question he had asked years ago. How did you change human nature itself? Catherine smiled. We did not change human nature. We simply discovered what human nature truly was. She took his arm and began to lead him toward the city. Violence is not natural, Commander. Fear is not inevitable. They are diseases, passed down through generations. We found the cure. What is the cure? Love, she said simply. Love and time, and the courage to believe that things can be different. She looked up at the blue sky, at the sun that had shone on New Providence for 2 centuries of peace. Every child born on this world is raised with love instead of fear. Every person is taught that they have value, that they belong, that they are safe. After enough generations, violence becomes unthinkable, not forbidden, simply unnecessary. Thesic walked with her through the streets. He saw humans and former compact soldiers living side by side. He saw old enemies become friends, conquerors become neighbors, warriors become gardeners. He thought about the galaxy he had left behind, the endless wars, the constant fear, the civilizations built on foundations of violence and oppression. And he thought about New Providence, this small world on the edge of explored space, where humanity had discovered something that the entire galaxy had missed. They had learned how to be truly human. As Thesic settled into his new life, he wrote one final report, not to the compact this time, but to future generations who might someday find this record. He wrote about a fleet that came to conquer and ended up being transformed. He wrote about a society that had no weapons and could not be defeated. He wrote about the power of kindness, the strength of peace, and the unimaginable potential of beings who had learned to live without fear. And he wrote about hope. Because if humanity could change, then perhaps others could as well. Perhaps the galaxy itself could become something different. Perhaps the endless cycle of war and conquest could finally end. It would take time, generations, maybe centuries. But the humans had proven it was possible, and that was enough. On New Providence, the sun set over the ocean. Children played on the beach while their parents watched with peaceful smiles. Somewhere in the city, a former admiral worked in a garden, his hands dirty with soil, his heart finally at rest. The humans had built something beyond understanding. They had built a future worth living in. And slowly, one person at a time, the galaxy was beginning to notice.